What is up, Static Gamers? Kokuji here today, and today we are going to talk about the biggest thing going on in the community right now, aside from Split Screen returning! I'm excited for that. Sangheili. Oh boy, here's the biggest thing. It's been a big fire in the community since it's happened. So many people saying, oh, that was a small portion of Halo removed, it's no biggie. Oh, were they wrong? Oh, were they wrong? Ever since the removal of elites, I have not once heard people stop complaining about it. And I'm one of those people. I keep talking about elites needing to return. Now, let me explain to you why I want elites. Elites hold a special spot in my heart. I came to Halo because of them. Honestly, I started in Halo 3. For some of the reasons was the religion. Could be my religion. It could have been their morals. It could have been just the fact that they were an alien species was another reason I liked it. I like space. I see humans every day. I want to see fucking elites. That's just another reason. Like, that's personally why I like elites. Is I associate with them on a social level. A lot. Very social with them. I feel like if I was with Velvadim, I would completely understand him. How he talks, what he means by what he says. That spot in the heart that Sangheilis hold for me, that they're just that special to me. And when they were moved from Halo, at first I was like, okay, well, it's just Halo 4, it's the war games, it makes sense. Spartans. Well, because really it's about Spartans and Forerunners. Well, I was really PO'd with Halo 5, introduced Sanghelios, but you couldn't play as elites. Now, I feel like that was one of the end goals, where you could play as elites and stuff like that, but it didn't work out so well. And so many people were saying, especially competitive players, elites in the past sucked. What makes you think they're going to be good for competitive play in the future? Well, first off, let me just talk about that real quick for you competitive players. You're right. Sangheilis are really hard to balance. Now, Bungie had a really good way they did it in Reach, and for the invasion game mode, it felt pretty, fair to me. But on a competitive level, it may be not. So you really gotta look at it differently. So I have a possible solution for that if Sangheili returned in 6. The competitive playlist does not offer Sangheilis. Or they have, what they could do is 2 competitive lists. One is human and the other is Sangheili. That works absolutely as well, so everybody's the same and even. Or maybe a competitive list that separate, like you got just your Spartans, and then the competitive list where there's Sangheili involved as well, and they can have like 2 separate tournaments for the lot of them. That's just some ideas. If they can't figure a way to equal out the Sangheili and the Spartans very well, they can do what Reach did and kind of kept them separate, which I didn't have a problem with. It worked well, it was pretty great, and you could still have Invasion where you could play Spartans versus Elites, which in my opinion changed it up and was actually pretty fun. A lot of people asked for Invasion back. Warzone is Invasion, but imagine Invasion Warzone. Oh man, that sounds awesome. That really does. So, let's get back into Sangheili. Enough about the technical stuff, because in all reality, simply put it, elites, they can be balanced in if the company puts the time and the resources in. With the Spartan charge and all that, they can figure out all that stuff. I had ideas on my other channel about how they could do it with the Sangheili shield that you saw in the original Combat Evolve that they never produced in the final version. Could come back as a little minor shield. They got the little arm blades that they can use for their Spartan charge or their ground pound, and make elites a little differently, or make it where the elite pops up and, that stance they do when they're in the air, and they can do that with an energy sword that comes out of nowhere when they Spartan charge, like a Sangheili strike, they could call it a strike. I don't know, just some ideas. But aside from that, let's talk about customization. I think that's the biggest one. Design is the biggest one. Now, as we've made clear, we want classic styles, right? The thing is, 343 has a habit of cutting off one community for another. And Halo 5, they kind of brought us back after a little being too late. So, a lot of people already sold their Halo 5s, and etc, etc. So, everybody's everywhere. There's people on MCC. MCC is starting to work finally, and it's pretty cool. So, I want to bring up a game called Killer Instinct. It's a game that I love playing. you can play as the Arbiter in there, and it has a customization option where you literally can play as Halo 3. You could play as Halo Reach, or you could play as the I don't know whether they call it infamous or notorious Halo 4 Storm Faction Elites. That is the kind of armor setup customization I would like to see Elites to have. I don't want to see just classics, because if you shut off Halo 4 fans, Halo 5 fans, and then only cater to the classic Halos, you're gonna lose what you have. You want to be big, you gotta cater to everything. You gotta think that in mind with your games. Same thing with the Spartans. Just because people say classic designs need a return doesn't mean you need to get rid of War Master. I personally like the War Master helmet. I think it looks very Halo to me. I like Aviator. I don't want to see that one gone. Wet Work is one that I like as well. These are 343 designs that I think need to return. Need to return in every game. Detonator. Believe it or not, Nightfall. mostly the chest piece, because that's really great for the military police. It's kind of like a human standard, but they can easily, come out with something. Air Assault is one of them, which I think was in Halo Reach as well, and just a few other helmets. Classic helmets that should return, obviously the Master Chief, Mark Vetta, Mark 5, Mark 6, maybe invent Mark 7 for whatever reason, or just experiment. And then obviously QCB, the helmets you added from into Reach. EOD should return. I like the fact that Security returned. That was one of my classic favorites. EVA, and then from Halo 5, let's think of some armors that I like. I like the I guess Photos was in both. Photos would be one that should definitely return from the Halo 5 genre. Helios Skrill should return for Spartans. Timmy the Well, Oliver should return and not be limited just to Special Forgers. I think that was a little weird. Give them an emblem instead that says, hey, I did this. A helmet doesn't really say much to me, even though they're some of the rarest helmets. It's still just like, okay. And that stuff. But Sangheili, let's kind of have the same thing. Okay, so for instance, Halo 3 had what they called minor combat, or they had combat, assault, ascetic, flight, and commando, right? Those were like the main they had, if I remember that correctly. It's been a while since I played Halo 3 for the Elite customization. Combat form is the classic Elite minor design. Assault, obviously, is the assault design. I think that the combat and the assault design should definitely return. Use the combat form used in Halo Wars 2. The assault design, use the one like they kind of had for Killer Instinct. Bring back the flight, the acoustics, and definitely the commando. And then, aside with those, create some free wacky Halo 3 stylish helmets. Like, just 3 of them. 3 of whatever. Doesn't have to be something that's been in the game yet. Just come up with 3 that look very Halo 3. Then, from the Halo 4, take your minor, take your ultra, take your Halo Reach styled Halo 4, and then take your Halo Reach styles, take your minor and all that, and put them into the game. And then for Halo 4, come up with 3 new designs, which I guess technically would be your Halo 5 designs, and put them in the game as well. But keep this in mind. The Elite body itself, not the armor, needs to be the classic still. So, because as much as I like the new, bigger Elites, like if you do those kind of styles, kind of make them like there's nice, skinny, tall, like aesthetic humans like you did in Halo Wars 2, but kind of the Halo 4 style would be pretty cool to accept. If that's what I would like to design for an Elite. Energy swords, all sorts of designs. If you bring out the Prophet, the Arbiter's Bane, the Prophet's Bane, or whatever that the Arbiter uses, make a version where you're not invisible 24/7. It really pains me that I have to use a thing from Game Sheet 13 in order to get that thing without having to, blah blah blah. And it's just annoying that way. And then the Covenant weapons in general, you're actually doing a pretty good job with the Covenant weapons. I couldn't really complain with them very much. Maybe the carbine a little bit with the zoom in and zoom out, but that's like for a whole nother topic, the smart scope. Brief on that. I think the smart scope is good for certain weapons, bad for other weapons, and should be removed for things like the AR and stuff. But beyond that, I can't really think much more than Sangheili that they need to return for the social reason people had for machinima purposes. Now, for people who are saying it's a stupid idea to combine all the armor sets together and all that, let me state here's why I think it's a really good idea to put all of them in. One, it doesn't shut off the entire community. It doesn't shut off the Halo 4 community. It doesn't shut off the Halo 5 community. Separating them in matchmaking or putting them in their own competitive list keeps people who saying if Sangheili are out of the game I quit, and then people who say if Sangheili aren't out of the game I quit, because now they're separate, so now they don't have to play with elites, you know what I'm saying? They can play by themselves or elsewhere, and it keeps people happy on both terms. And then for the customization, you may be thinking, why would you mix Classic with Halo 4 with Halo 5 styles? Like, it makes no sense. Well, one, power to the community. Two, on a machinima standpoint, imagine having Swords and Helios versus the Storm faction as a machinima. Just imagine that, like an action sack Halo like that. Elites versus elites. And then now you have two style of elites, so there ain't the same elite design fighting the same elite design with just different armor colors. Imagine there was actually like the Storm faction fighting Sword of Sangheili armor designs. So literally they could be the same armor and ranks but have different armor designs to associate them. Like for instance with the Wraith, the Sword of Sangheili can have the classic Halo Wraith or whatever, and then the Storm faction can have the classic Halo Wraith, but the Sword of Sangheili can have your style of Wraith. Think about that, you know, get creative. And then for those classic fans, say 43, do the same thing with the Scorpion. Classic Scorpion, the Halo 4 or Halo 5 Scorpion variant, and then the Halo 3 variant or whatever, you know, the changer thing. And do the same thing with the Warthog. Don't cut off people. Add them all in. Go big with everything you do. And if you don't go big with this stuff, you're not going to satisfy people. That's something that Bungie did. They went big and then condensed it to small. That's why they took their time on their games, because they put everything they want in first, and then over time they cut out what they saw that didn't work or worked it out. And that is the biggest advice I can give to a developer. For somebody who, like myself, who's wanting to go into game developing, I'm going to overshoot my goals, and then I'm going to douse down to the goals, so that way the content I have is good. Do that with the Sangheili. Take time to care to develop these Sangheilis. Take time to do it for the Spartans as well. Don't forget to cater to other groups. That's one of the biggest things about, you know, the Halo community is catering to other groups. Well, there's my talk about the Sangheili. I know I didn't really talk about how they could par to Spartan ability. I did mention the sword, the little shield thing they can actually dispense a little bit of, and the evade ability. If you guys really want me to go into detail about that, I will do it in another video. I don't know how soon or how recent. You guys let me know. And, well, you know, that usual. We'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to lay back, stay static. This is Kogaji Mente, I, signing out.